Okay, you ready? Shot of tequila before I say this.
Do you need it?
You are not mature enough for a proper relationship until you want a nice guy. And before anyone gets defensive, I don't mean boring. I don't mean no personality. I don't mean a man who says, morning, beautiful, and then emotionally disappears for 3 days. I mean safe. I mean consistent. I mean someone whose nervous system doesn't send you into fight or flight every second Tuesday. Do you know why people say nice guys finish last? Because the nice guy is the last guy you're meant to end up with. And if that sentence makes you feel itchy, annoyed, or personally attacked, congratulations. This episode is for you. Welcome to Bite Hard. So there is so much content online about healthy relationships, don't settle and cut them off immediately. But no one actually explains what healthy looks like after you've dated absolute menaces to society. So today, I'm explaining it using my own terrible dating history as evidence. I'm not a therapist. I'm not professionally educated in relationships. I'm simply an oversharer who's been through some shit and survived. And if you can relate, then this episode is for you. But honestly, the law matters. Should we talk about the toxic origin story? Let's name him dickhead number 1. First love delusion. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? My first proper relationship, age 16 to 18, we'll call him Sam, dickhead number 1. I was madly in love, like embarrassing in love. First love energy, everyone feels intense, everyone feels permanent. You think this person is going to be in your life forever. And he was funny, charming, played professional football, and in hindsight, pretty average looking, but he had abs. And when you're 16, abs are a personality trait. The relationship was rocky from day one. Parties, jealousy, insecurity, breakups, makeups, the full teenage chaos. We'd break up, get back together, and during every breakup, he'd sleep with other girls. Important context. This is also the guy I lost my virginity to. And honestly, this part was fine. I was ready. I initiated it. There was no pressure. Turns out it's very easy to be patient with your girlfriend while you're cheating on her constantly. Who knew? Most of what I learned about this relationship came after it ended. And the only reason I found out, his friends ended up hating him. I found out he cheated on me the entire relationship, the whole time. And the worst part, my gut knew it. I felt it. I questioned it. I cried about it. But every time I brought it up, let me say this clearly. If your gut is screaming, listen to it. It's telling you something. It's intuition. Oh, and another fun detail, his mum thought I was just some random slut he was sleeping with. She didn't even know I was his girlfriend, despite me basically living at their house, because it turns out I was one of many, many, many women. Or girls. We were teenagers. Now let me traumatize you properly. Sam got an opportunity to play soccer in Melbourne. And like the deeply in love idiot I was, I agreed to move with him. Told my family, told my friends, packed a suitcase. My parents drove me to his house. We hugged, said goodbye. I walked inside. His mum looked at me and said, "What is she doing here? Courtney is not coming." Sorry? Sam had never told his parents I was moving with him. They all went into another room to discuss it while I was still there. Hearing his mum list every reason I shouldn't come. Soccer comes first, we won't last, no room in the car, and Sam said nothing. Shocker. We still drove to Melbourne. 4 people, cramped car, silence. His whole family wanted to come. Once there, I found messages to other girls on his phone. So I left. That relationship was constant push and pull. I leave when he treated me badly, and he'd pull me back in with promises of change. And I believed him every time. Not because I thought I deserved it, but because first love can create this weird trauma bond where logic doesn't exist in the building. Let's move on to dickhead number 2. Dickhead number 2, trauma with a gym membership. Enter Chad. If you think I learned my lesson from dickhead number 1, you would be so wrong. We started very romantically. We met via Instagram, flirting, liking each other's photos, back and forth like absolute idiots until someone finally slid into our DMs, and it was him into mine, of course. 4 weeks in, we were official. My parents liked him. My friends loved him. He was perfect. Until 2 months later, he found out a girl he used to sleep with was pregnant. I want to make this clear. I never blamed her. Chad was the problem. Throughout her pregnancy, he flipped-flopped constantly. 1 minute he wanted to be involved, the next he didn't. Nice one day, cruel the next. And did I run? Of course not, because I was still addicted to this chase, the chaos. He had a temper. He partied, he disappeared for weekends. We broke up, got back together over and over again. Then I fell pregnant. And I'm going to put a little warning in here before I keep going. I just want to give a quick heads up. The next part of this episode touches on pregnancy, loss, and abortion. I'm not going into graphic detail, but it is emotional and personal. So if this is something that feels heavy for you right now, please take care of yourself. Skip ahead a few minutes, pause, come back whenever you're ready. There's absolutely no pressure to listen to every part of this episode or any episode. And if you do stay, I just want you to know I'm sharing this from a place of honesty and reflection, not advice or judgment, just my experience, and I've never talked about this online. So, okay, let's continue. By this point, my parents hated him. He had isolated me from them. I was living at his house. When I say I had an abortion, I want to maybe pause here because I don't want to skim past this like it was like a plot point in a messy relationship. It was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through mentally. At this time, I genuinely felt like I didn't have a choice. And I don't mean that in a dramatic way. I mean, I was never given the space to even think about it. There was no conversations that started with, what do you want? There was no time to sit with my feelings, no time to process, no time to let the shock settle. It was just decided for me. When I told Chad I was pregnant, his response wasn't concern or fear or even confusion. It was, well, you're obviously getting an abortion. No, let's talk. No, how are you feeling? Just a full stop, end of discussion. When his parents found out, it escalated immediately. I was screamed at. I was called selfish. I was made to feel like even considering having this baby was morally wrong. Like I was ruining everyone's lives. So I did what everyone else wanted. And here's the complicated truth. 2 things can exist at once. Looking back now, with the life I have, the person I am, the stability I've built, I know it was the right decision for me. I can see that clearly now. I don't regret the decision itself, but what I grieve is the way it happened. I didn't get autonomy. I didn't get this compassion. I didn't get to sit alone in my room and think, what do I want my life to look like? I didn't get to weigh it up without fear or pressure or shouting voices telling me what was best. I was surviving, not choosing, and I wasn't even talking to my parents at the time, and I couldn't even talk to my mum about it. And I laugh about it now, but now that I have children, yeah, it's really fucking hard. And this all does something to you. Even when you know later on that the outcome was right, the process can still leave scars. It messes with your sense of agency. It messes with your trust in yourself. It plants this quiet, brief thought about how you feel in your body, your life, your decisions don't fully belong to you. And I didn't even realize how deeply it affected me until years later. Like now, at the time, I just swallowed it. I kept going. I stayed in this relationship. I convinced myself I was fine. That's what you do when you're young and you don't feel safe enough to fall apart. But you don't just get over something like that. You carry it quietly, I guess, until you finally feel strong enough to look at it properly. And I share this part of my story, not for sympathy and not to make a political statement, but because I know there are women listening who've experienced something similar. And maybe you've also told yourself, it was the right decision, so I shouldn't feel this way. I know I did, but you're allowed to. You're allowed to know it was right and still feel that sadness about how little of a choice you were given. You're allowed to grieve the lack of support, even if you didn't grieve the outcome. You're allowed to wish you had been protected better. That experience was one of the moments where I lost trust in myself. Not because I made the wrong decision, but because I wasn't allowed to make this decision on my own terms. And that plays a big role in why that relationship broke me the way it did. That relationship broke me. Slowly, quietly, piece by piece, the girl who knew how she deserved to be treated had taken temporary leave. Now let's go into something maybe a little bit more fun. The single girl era. After Chad, I was single for 5 years. Love Island, as you may or may not know, destroyed my self-esteem. That's its own episode, if we even want to talk about it. And I lived in situationships, almost maybe boys who liked me just enough to keep me around. There was Rob, the high school sweetheart that always felt like maybe one day he was kind, he was safe, and I hurt him because I was still broken. It just hurt differently because I became the problem. And then there was Jet, and fuck it. Let's drop it in. Only a couple of people know this, and by a couple of people, I mean 3. Big Jet Plane is a great song, great male singer. Actual rockstar experience, what I'm about to explain, which let me tell you was absolutely not on my bingo card, but was fucking fun. I met Jet during my single era. The phase where I'd finally stopped chasing chaos, but also wasn't really ready for something serious. He was the oldest guy I've ever dated, and from the very beginning, the energy was just different. Calm, grounded, present. Maybe he did a little love bombing and playing games, but not as toxic as the others. He listened, actually listened. He asked thoughtful questions. He remembered things I'd said weeks earlier. And honestly, after my dating history, that alone felt wildly attractive. Being with him felt like stepping into a completely different world, a slower world, a creative world, a world where days blurred into sunsets and conversations went deep without any effort whatsoever. Nothing felt forced. And yes, there was this very cool, very surreal rock star element to it. Jet would send me demos of his songs he was working on, raw demos, songs that would later be published. They actually are published. Songs people would eventually listen to and attach their own memories and meanings to. And he told me I was his muse for his album. So maybe that's why it kept me, with him. Kind of cool to experience. For a while, I genuinely thought Jet would be endgame. He wanted me to move in with him in Byron. We talked about building a house and the property, kids, a future. On paper, it was everything I thought I wanted. But here's the part that surprised me. Even though he was good and kind and healthy, I just wasn't ready. I hadn't finished my nursing course at the time. And deep down, I knew that if I moved to Byron, I'd lose myself. A little, not because of him, but because I hadn't finished becoming who I needed to be yet. I hadn't even finished my nursing degree. Do you know what I mean? I needed to finish that before I could go to somewhere else. I hadn't fully healed. I hadn't built enough trust in my independence, and I was scared that if I gave up my life too soon, I'd resent it later, and that wouldn't be fair to either of us. So I chose myself. Also, a little bit of the situationship burning out, if I'm being really honest, and that was new for me. Situation taught me something really important, something the right person when they come into your life, before you're ready, not to say forever, but they show you what's possible. Jet showed me that men could be gentle, emotionally available, who knew, and still masculine, that the excitement could come from connection. And even though it didn't last, I don't look back on it with sadness. I look back on it with gratitude, because that was a really important relationship that reset my standards. After Jet, I couldn't unsee what calm felt like, and I definitely couldn't go back to confusing intensity for love. After Jet, I spent a few more years figuring myself out, and somewhere in that single girl era, I ended up on Love Island. And wow, that experience was intense, difficult, messy, eye-opening. I could probably dedicate a whole episode just to that. I will maybe, if that's what you guys want to hear, because there's so much to unpack, from the boys to the mental roller coaster to the ridiculousness of it all. But for today, let's just say it added a few more lessons, a lot more self-reflection, some wild stories, and that all led me to Jack. After everything I'd been through, heartbreak, chaos, single era, lessons, and even the Love Island madness, meeting Jack felt like stopping and stepping into something completely different, calm, grounded, funny, honest, and in a way, exactly what I've been unknowingly preparing myself for. I first met Jack at a social media event in Sydney. A fancy dinner with influencers and creators, everyone dressed up, red wine flowing. I walked in and there he was. I didn't know much about him at the time. I hadn't watched his season of Maths or any season of Maths before him. And I've never met him before, but I instantly noticed him. There was something so easy about him, just genuine. And after my dating history, that was like magic. We had a little banter, some flirting, and kept bumping into each other throughout the night. Let's be real. I proudly tell everyone this. He kept trying to talk to me all night. And I don't say this lightly. I could tell he was actually present, actually listening. He made me feel like I was the only person in the room. That feeling was something I didn't even know I'd been craving. After the event, I think I'd left and walked to my car, and it'd been about 10 minutes, and I go onto my Instagram to check it as you do, and I saw a DM from Jack asking me how long I was in Sydney for. So we planned to meet up, and I literally got the sickest I've ever been, -1 parasite in Bali, which I'll talk about on a later episode, but I didn't end up seeing him because I was super, super sick, so cancelled. And months after that, we just like loosely chatted, text, calls. This was exciting in a calm, safe, sustainable, make you smile in your core kind of way. When Jack came to the Gold Coast for the Logies, I picked him up from the airport and we spent the day at the beach in Byron, tanning, watching the sunset at Watergoes, then dinner on the water. We laughed, we overshared so much, and even on the first date, we were having deep conversations about life and past heartbreaks. Somehow that made everything feel safe, even though we were both widely oversharing things they would say textbook, not to mention. This is classic Courtney energy now that I know, classic Jack energy. And at the end of the night, he convinced me to bring him home to meet my parents on the first date. Technically, to meet our new black lab puppy. I was stressing. I hadn't brought a guy home in years. My parents, intense. And yet, he handled it all with such ease, meeting Frankie, our new puppy, and actually bonding with him instantly. I knew my parents liked him right away, which, as anyone knows who's brought a boy home, knows it's both a blessing and a curse. Because now you have to live with them obsessively asking about him for months. But the chemistry was just undeniable. So after he met my parents, we went back to his hotel, made out a little bit, got a little intense, and I was like, no. Please, you have to wait for that. And I left the hotel, and I didn't see him again until a few weeks later. Jack invited me to Sydney to drive to Perisher to go skiing. Technically our third date, yes, a ski trip. I know, classic Courtney energy. Always do it for the plot. That's what I was telling myself to take away the pressure. I went, and by the second day, I was smitten. Skiing, which I'm absolutely terrible at, was made fun by him being so patient, so kind and encouraging, I'd realized I'd never met someone who could make learning something so frustrating feel joyful. And in that moment, I knew this was the person I wanted to be by my side. Like, I literally, I just fell in love with him. Like, and you know, right? That night, we turned over in bed after skiing, and he didn't even try to sleep with me. Hot! That restraint made me want him even more. I know it sounds weird, but bear with me. Now, we spent the next few days together. I didn't want to rush into anything serious, but I also couldn't ignore that feeling, this feeling that I thought I loved him. And then the following week, Jack flew up to the Gold Coast. We spent a weekend together, introduced him properly to friends and family, and honestly, everything just clicked. By the end of the summer, I knew I was ready to be in a relationship. We went out one night, and as we were getting in the Uber, we're in Sydney, sorry, by the way, Jack looks at me and says, I quote, "I love you so, so, so much." I smiled, he smiled, realizing it just slipped out. A special moment, but, very soon to say, but also like, you know what I mean? A few days later, after that night of wine, we had another night of wine, talking and cuddles, and I told him I loved him. That night, he asked me to be his girlfriend. From there, our relationship blossomed, filled with love, trust, and yes, work. We were both coming out of long single eras, so there was adjustments, learning to express ourselves and understanding what we needed in a partner, but it was calm. It was safe and honest. 7 months into dating, we ended up doing long distance in this time, but if you even call it that, because Sydney to the Gold Coast is not far. And then in February 2023, we accidentally fell pregnant. Ugh, fast, yes, but when you're spending so much time with someone, getting to know them and like you really know them, it felt right. And we had spent so much time together. Even though it had only been 7 months, we had only spent 2 days away from each other out of 7 months. The whole rest of that time, so what, 6 months, 3 weeks, 5 days, we were together. So like people don't even spend that much time together in like 3-4 year relationships. I'll add in here the pregnancy. Mum era will be talked about in another episode, maybe the next episode. Way too much to unpack here. So let's just go back to Jack and meeting Jack. It taught me so much that nice guys aren't just endgame. The love doesn't have to feel like a war zone to be meaningful. That sometimes the person you're looking for is someone who brings calm after years of chaos. And most importantly, that everything, heartbreak, chaos, and self-discovery, you can finally recognize and appreciate what real love feels like. The lessons I've learned about love, life, and nice guys. Lesson 1, self-awareness and clarity to be alone is terrifying. It's also everything. Being single for years after Chad, exploring situationships, and even surviving Love Island taught me that when you're alone, you finally hear yourself, the real, unfiltered you. Those late nights staring at your ceiling, crying to sad songs, laughing at ridiculous texts you put in your notes app. And that's when you figure out what you actually want, who you are, what you need. Being honest with yourself about what you want in a partner, what you don't want, is the superpower. Jet showed me what calm and stability could feel like. Chad taught me how not to be treated and how to not treat myself. And Jack, well, he confirmed that knowing yourself makes you recognize your person when they walk in without questioning your own worth. Lesson 2 would be healing and releasing past baggage. This one hits hard. Some baggage sticks with you, right? Even if you think you've let it go. Sam cheated, Chad manipulated, Rob got caught up in mess, and maybe Love Island era tested my self-esteem in ways I didn't expect. Jet helped me see that love could feel good / a little chaotic, and Jack helped me see that the right person isn't going to make you question yourself completely and constantly. Healing doesn't mean forgiving everyone. It doesn't even mean closure. Sometimes it's realizing that what was wrong, it hurt, I survived, and I don't want to repeat it. That was probably the biggest lesson of it all. Patterns exist to teach you and not punish you, even though it fucking hurts. Lesson 3, building independence. You can't rely on someone else to make you happy. I thought I needed validation from exes, situationships, or even Love Island attention, right? I learned the hard way that true happiness comes from cultivating yourself. My time alone, all of it made me realize when your life is full, you attract someone who complements it, not completes it. You need to love yourself first, because no amount of texting I miss you or dramatic gestures will fix insecurity or self-doubt. Lesson 4, attracting what you deserve. Your energy sets your standard. I couldn't go back to a relationship that felt like a game or a test. Jack taught me that the right energy, it feels good, it's effortless, it's respectful, and it's calm. You attract people who match your growth. So you need to work on yourself, love yourself, and watch how the right people start showing up. Trust me. Lesson 5, enjoying the process. Spent years obsessed with finding the one and failing spectacularly. But the real joy is the journey. The what am I doing nights. But like every chapter had lessons, laugh, tears, and growth. The final destination, meeting Jack, falling in love, starting a family, was magic. But it was also years of trial, error, reflection, and learning. Enjoying the ride, cry when you need to, laugh when you can, and trust that it all builds towards the life and the love you actually deserve. Lesson 6, if someone's actions don't match their words, they're not into you. Hard to hear, but necessary. Sam cheated. Chad played games. Rob, I mirrored chaos unknowingly, the drill. If someone's not showing up for you, if they make you question your worth, run. Full stop. Jack never made me chase him. He never made me doubt myself. And that's the point, that you can see that the right person is there. They make you feel seen, safe, excited, not exhausted, not anxious, not like you're in a game you didn't sign up for. Lesson 7, nice guys finish last, because they're the end, baby. They're the end game. The thing I really want you to take away, nice guys aren't boring. They aren't last because they're not worth it. They're last because they're the ones who show up after you've done the work, after you've grown, healed, and finally know your worth. Jack is my nice guy, my best friend, my partner in crime, my baby daddy, my fiance, and the right person finds you. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you for sitting through my entire dating history. The heartbreak, the chaos, the questionable decisions, and yes, even the rockstar demos. Honestly, if nothing else, I hope it's been a little comforting to hear that messy, complicated love stories don't mean you're broken. They mean you're learning, you're growing, you're getting ready for the person who actually deserves you. You're a nice guy, you're an end game. Whether you're single or in a situationship or a relationship that's testing your patience, remember this: every heartbreak, every what the hell am I doing moment, every lesson learned is shaping you for the person you're meant to be with. And sometimes the universe waits until you're ready, not before. It's okay to laugh at yourself and cry when you need to. And yes, overshare a little along the way. That's life. That's love. That's growth. So whether you're here for the stories, the lessons, or just to hear someone say, hey, I've been there too. Thank you for listening. And for anyone hoping to find their nice guy, just know he is out there. And when he shows up, it will feel nothing like chaos and everything like home. Until next time, take care of yourself, love yourself fiercely, and trust the journey. I hope you liked the first episode, and I'll see you soon. Bye.